Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. Whether you're tuning in on the radio dial, we welcome you all back to our program. Also, those tuning in to our online friends around the world, we're glad to have all of you with us as well. Vanessa Baden Kelly is making her first appearance on our program today to talk to us not only about her journey as an actress, but what it's been like for her to be a part of the talented cast that is the series Giants. It's making its premiere on February the 21st. Depending on how you're listening to us, you're probably already enjoying the beginning of the new season or are gearing up for it. We'll talk to Vanessa about this experience, what it's been like for her to see the early response, and also, of course, we'll let you guys know how you can stay connected with her and all the great things going on with her. Vanessa, hello to you, and welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, the pleasure's definitely all mine. So let's talk about the excitement, first of all, Vanessa. I mean, season 1 did so well. Season 2, you guys have been traveling around, being able to share with audiences already. There's been a lot of buzz about this. What has it been like for you to see the way that people are responding to the premiere of Season 2?
Man, it's kind of been been awe-inspiring, really. You know, when we started Giants in 2015, it really was James Bland's brainchild. He just was tired of really doing everybody else's shows and working on a bunch of other people's projects that really weren't giving him an opportunity to kind of show his own creativity and tell his own stories. And so James is one of my best friends. We have been best friends for about 10, 15 years now. And he told me that he wanted to start trying to shoot something at the time. He was working at TV Land, so he would only have time to do it on the weekends, which was fine by me because I had a full-time job as well. And he was like, I don't even know what it's going to be yet. When I write a script, I'll tell you. And I was just like, okay. So to go from that to, now like there's Essence and Shadow and Act and all of these like Vibe and all of these crazy stories and these periodicals that we grew up reading, and there's all this buzz about it and social media and the likes. It really seems like kind of a dream considering how it was the inception of it.
Right. And I think that's the big story for me in all of this, Vanessa, and I'm sure for a lot of the cast as well. We've gotten a chance to speak to some of them like yourself, and I think it's just the idea of doing the work and then seeing the process unfold. I think so many people give up too soon. We hear about these stories all the time. People are on the cusp of greatness, and then they give up on themselves. When you look at this, especially the buzz that you mentioned yourself, when you look at that, do you feel as though you all have done exactly what you're supposed to have done to be able to make this series as acclaimed as it is?
So that answer is... That's a two-step answer. One, I don't feel like any of us did it. I feel like James did it, and we just followed.
Gotcha.
James really is a visionary. I'm not saying that because he's my best friend, although I will tout that till the end of the world. He's definitely one of those. That's my best friend. But he really just is visionary, and he always has been. We had a really long conversation in a random New York bar a couple weeks ago where we were talking, and we were saying, he's just always been a chaser. Like, he's never been one to, like, be a loose dreamer that just has all these crazy dreams, and you wonder if he's ever going to be able to do it. James has always been the type to set his mind on something, create a plan and strategy, and just do it. And so I think on the one hand, we had nothing to do with that. James just told us what he needed us to do, and we all did it. But on the other hand, what I do think is that everybody did give of themselves in ways that even for myself, I didn't know were possible, but I was so committed to this role into this show that it was like, even if it doesn't feel possible in this moment, I have to find a way to make it possible. I'm a mother, I have a 2-year-old, and sometimes, you're shooting 12-hour days on the weekends, and there's no childcare, and I don't honestly know how we figured it out, but we always did. And it was kind of that reminder, like you said, it's about the work, and if you build it, they'll come. Like, if you even attempt to build it, you can build some amazing things. And J. August Richards, who's one of our directors as well as in the writer's room, always uses the quote that when your car breaks down on the side of the road, if you sit in your car, no one will help you. But if you get out of your car and you start to push, you'll find that people will pull over to help you start pushing. And I feel like that's what James did, is he started pushing, and we all got out to help, and it's been really brilliant to watch.
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting thing. We talk a lot on this program, Vanessa, about the dance. When I talked to James on the program, I asked about you guys, and of course he said, it's funny. It's almost like you guys are like the ones that say, no, you're the best, and the other one says, no, you're the best, and the other one says, no, you're the best. And he was saying that he could not have done this without without you guys, and being able to bring this to life. I want to refer to a post you made going back to June 22nd, 2017 on Instagram. And for those who are not following Vanessa on Instagram, you can find her at v.kelly, and that's VDOTKELLY. And it's a scene with you, of course, from Giants, of course. You're on the floor, and the caption you wrote was ugly crying. And you were talking about what a privilege it was to work with who you just mentioned there, J. August Richards, and about how he directed you. And then he came behind you and said, Boo Boo the Fool could have directed the scene with the performance you gave. You brought it. You hear me? I was blown away by you. And then he used the hashtag multi-talented. As you said, it may have been James that, had this, that had this idea, had this brainchild, and you all came in to support it. But when you see your gift recognized that way, Vanessa, how does that feel about the work and giving your all like you are?
It's been overwhelming, if I can be honest, and actually the past week has been really overwhelming for me in that sense, because James right now is traveling around. We were able to travel with him. Well, we're all invited to travel at all times, but, I got a 2-year-old. So,
yeah, right.
James is traveling the nation right now, and he's screening for a lot of HBCUs and college campuses, and the next 2 days he has some pretty big screenings in Atlanta. And I keep getting inundated with messages about my performance, and a lot of those messages are coming from people who I greatly admire, and in some cases people who I aspire to be like. And it's been, oh man, I'm getting a little choked up. It's been really overwhelming. I'm not really the artist that watches my own performances or reads my own stuff a lot. Like, I read it just enough to get critique and to, do better next time. But I don't, I'm not the type of person that kind of like sits in it and like makes you sit and watch it to see how I did. But it's been really overwhelming. One of the special things about Giants is that these types of roles are not in abundance in Hollywood, period, but they're particularly not in abundance for actors and actresses of color. And so I really can't imagine any other place or any other medium or program where I would have had the ability to portray somebody like Journey. And as grateful as I am for that, I also wasn't prepared. Like, I didn't have a lot of places to work out or a lot of experiences dealing with the character with these many layers. And so I really am, and I know I'm like kind of batting the ball back to them again, but my directors, particularly J. August Richards, they really gave me the room to do what it was that I needed to do to get there. They pulled things out of me. I can also say that James, James is a creative. I'm a creative. So, and like I said, that's my best friend. So sometimes we can even butt heads creatively, but it's never like the stuff that you hear on like TV where it's like we're fighting and screaming. It's nothing like that. It just is it's like a battle of the wills. And this time, after working with Jay for some time and kind of recognizing what my process needed to be for this character, I remember it was one of the last episodes we shot, I was able to sit with James and our director at the time, Xavier Bergen, and tell them, I'm not going to tell you how to do your job as producer and as director. What I am saying is that if you want my best performance, my close-ups need to be first, because I'm not going to be able to go all out in the emotion you need every single time, and that's where this scene is going to live, is in my close-ups. And I remember, and I told him, and you can't cut, you can't call cut in the middle and get another angle because I won't be able to deliver the performance. And it was the first time that I shouldn't say the first time because it had happened more this season, that I had ever said, hold on, we have to do this a little bit different so I can deliver a better performance. And the first time that we ran through it, and James didn't really want to do it because he was like, we don't have enough time for this. But then after the first time we ran through it, he came over to me and he was like all teary-eyed, and he was like, I totally get why we have to do it that way, and that's how we're going to shoot it. And I just don't think I would have gotten that freedom in any other place, and I wouldn't have my voice wouldn't have been heard and my process wouldn't have been respected. And Giants has just been such a blessing, and I'm thankful for everybody who thinks so highly of the performance, but really it's because people helped me get there.
Right. For sure, and look, and I totally get it, and I think the humility that you have in this is great, but I think the fact that people are recognizing the gift, and we're going to talk more about that. And it's interesting that the conversation's unfolding the way it is, Vanessa. So we're definitely going to pick up there. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. Vanessa Baden Kelly is joining us today. We're talking to Vanessa not only about the journey that has been Giants is gearing up for season 2. Depending on how you guys are listening to us on February the 21st, for some of you who will be able to enjoy it today, others will have to wait just a little bit longer. But we're talking to Vanessa about the experience of being a part of it, what of course, the premiere has been like for people to be able to see it and experience it, and of course, responding to her role. Another post that you made on Instagram that I wanted to talk about was a picture of James and yourself. He was wearing a shirt with feminist on it. Vanessa, I'm sure you remember this. You were wearing a shirt that said "Phenomenal Woman." My question to you is this, especially because it's so obvious that you don't want to take a lot of credit for the obvious gift that you have. How difficult has it been for you to embrace the idea that you have greatness inside of you? I mean, when you're wearing a shirt like "Phenomenal Woman," how much is that a reminder for you of who you are? You took the words out of my mouth. I haven't fully embraced it yet. I think it was a reminder. And that's why I'm really, really excited about brands like that, that give you that reminder that you can wear in your chest all day. That's like RS on our chest. I think greatness is really hard to embrace, and I'm not even saying that from a perspective where I feel like I'm there. I'm just saying it in that anybody that I've ever known to be great, or watch documentaries about that is great. They were just always striving to be better, and that's actually what made them great. Growing up, my uncle would always say the greatest enemy of great is good. And I think that that's kind of what I've always led my life by, is that if I get too comfortable in this good, I'm never going to reach the great. And so it's hard for me to embrace. I definitely, I really appreciate conversations like this that I'm having with you, and when we had screenings and people are able to come up and talk and say how much something has impacted them. But the first thing that my brain goes to is, okay, great, like you're touching them. This is what's going really, really well. How can I do this better? Right.
And I know
I get
that's
it.
totally terrible, and I need to chill out or something. But yeah, I one of the greatest gifts that I've had in this time is that I have friends who work on the show with me. Giants is really, while it's like a bunch of different people from different backgrounds, it really is a giant family. And so I never feel like they're blowing smoke. You know what I mean? Like, I never feel like they're just like just patting me on the back and telling me good job. And I get way more praise from the outside than I do from the inside, which I actually really am thankful for. But the greatest gift that I've had is having my friends do this project with me, because the times that I'm being overly critical, they bring me back down. The times that I am being fairly critical, they agree with me, and that makes me trust their compliments more. And the fact that all my friends came out of this process and said, hey, Vanessa, you delivered every week, it gives me a little bit of solace. Like, I'm like, okay, good. Like, I came in and I did my job. Now I got to prep to do it better next time, but I came in and I did my job. So, yeah, It's hard to embrace. I'm learning, and it's really been because of my tribe that I've been able to kind of sit in it and be happy for a second.
Right. For sure. Well, this is, for those who, might recognize the name of Vanessa, I mean, this is something that you have been able to share with the world when it comes to your acting ability. Have you always known that being a creative, as you mentioned, that's one thing you have in common with James being a creative, have you always known that creating in some way, whether you were writing, acting, or whatever, was something that you had to do?
No. I mean, I definitely knew it was going to always be a part of me. You know what I mean? But I was a community organizer from 2006 to 2010. So I guess a little before that, but about 4 or 5 years that was my full-time profession. Like that's what paid my bills. So there was a time when I thought that my job was to save the world, and there would be ways that my creativity had to serve that, and maybe even times that my creativity had to serve as like an outlet of self-care for myself. But there weren't always times where I was like, this is what I have to do. This is the gift I have to give the world. And I don't know if I even believe that now. Like I know that I enjoy it. I know that I feel most alive when I'm doing it. I know that I can have like almost like withdrawals once it's all over and it's chilled out and I'm having to go back, like to the mundaneness of every day. I can kind of feel like a little baby depression creeping over me because I don't have it. But I don't really know. I know that it's in the fabric of who I am. And so that there's nothing that I will do in life that doesn't have it somewhere on it. You know what I mean? Like, even if I went on to be like president of the world, there would be some creativity in that. I'd probably create a movie for myself to come out to at my inauguration. But,
Right.
Something. But I don't know. I don't really feel like I have a lot of answers right now. You've probably seen in this interview, for somebody like me, not having the answers is really tough, but it's been one of the few things that's like brought me solace, is that like I don't have to know. I just have to do it now and figure out the next part next.
Gotcha. I get it. So, I mean, let's go back to Giants in this respect, because part of what we've got to see in season 1 is the fact that you're dealing with some issues. Your character is dealing with some issues. I think that's a mild way of saying it. And for those who have not seen season 1, definitely invite you guys to take advantage of that. How great was that? Because I've found when I talk to people in this program, Vanessa, who have to go to dark places or troubled places, that sometimes is the most fun to play with. How much fun was that for you to play with, to be able to bring these layers of this character to life?
Obviously, the dark ones sucked. Actually, the second week after we started Giants, I found out that I was pregnant. So the dark stuff. Okay, so some of the dark stuff is really hard. Like, obviously, the finale was a really hard shoot, and James was so gentle with me and so good about not putting more stress on me than needed, and it was great. There's also a cartwheel that I do, I think, in episode 3 or 4, or 2 maybe, and I'm like 5 months pregnant, and that, like, doing a cartwheel, so that was stressful. I called my OBGYN, and I was like, hey, Dr. Nichols, listen, theoretically, if I had to do a cartwheel right now for a scene, would I hurt the baby? And she was like, theoretically, no, but why are you doing cartwheels? And I was like, okay, gotta go, bye. So that was, but the fun, there was so much fun in season 1 that season 2 is a little heavier. But season 1, the car with the cupcakes, I've never had so much fun filming a scene. Me and James had a blast with that scene.
Wow. And
him and I, early 2010, 2011 maybe, we used to drive around a lot and listen to the Kanye West CD, the College Dropout, and we would just talk about like the things that we hope to be able to accomplish and our dreams, and we would do that very, very often, very, very often. We even we did a cross country trip. We just talked about the things that we hoped for, and in maybe a couple months after the cross country trip, James sent me a text and was like, one of these days I'm going to write us a web series called like Paper Trail or something like that, and it was basically about us being two people that deliver newspapers in the morning, and it would just follow us in the car, and like just about our conversations, because we thought they were hilarious. So one of those conversations was this cupcake scene. So that whole cupcake scene had been written in our heads and played out and acted out for years. And it was so fun to finally get this like on screen, because it was borrowed from our real lives and workshopped in our minds and in our living room forever. We just thought it was going to be a different show.
Right. Well, I tell you, and like you said, when you're doing it with people that you love and respect, and that you know that you're going toward their common goal, it definitely, does not feel like work, even though it is work. And it's very obvious, the work that you all put into this, Vanessa. I'm so excited for people to be able to see it, and I know there's going to be a lot of great things that come from this season and those to come. Again, everyone, Vanessa Baden Kelly has been our guest. Great conversation with you, Vanessa. We've been talking with her not only about the journey to doing what she loves, but also, of course, being a part of the talented cast that is Giants the series. Again, for those who are listening to us, depending on how you're joining us, you all can be able to catch the beginning of Season 2 on February the 21st. All you have to do is follow Giants all over social media. It's just Giants the series is where you all can find it on Instagram. You can find it there on Twitter as well. Make sure you all are following the movement, staying connected with the cast. And speaking of that, Vanessa, let our audience know, how can they stay connected with you?
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at v.kelly, VDOTKELLY.
All right, so make sure you all are definitely following Vanessa. We'll make sure that we're putting that for our online audience in the notes of this segment for you guys to do that. Vanessa, thank you so much for the time. Congratulations to you and the cast again, and looking forward to our next conversation together.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me.
Glad to do it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Make sure you take out time to enjoy some good music as well as a great book. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live today. You all make it a great one.